So don't pull any moral stunts on me because you're irritated about my opinion.
All right, now we got the Red School, the Kermit Peterson back now. Don't you dare pull your stunts on me, woke moralists.
Not everyone's a genius. No, not everyone's Picasso. No, not everyone's young and healthy. And no, not everyone is a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model, period. And fuck you if you don't like it.
He's so angry about this. And you if you don't like it. I will not submit. Not today. No. Up yours, woke moralist. We'll see who cancels who. I'm sure you're aware already of the Jordan Peterson controversy, where the Sports Illustrated model he deemed not to smash, did not want to smash, thought would not smash, will pass, and decided to make that a matter of public record and have everyone else around him know what his thoughts were, and then go a little bolder and say that it's actually authoritarianism and if you find it attractive, or they're trying to force you to find it attractive when you do not see this as attractive like I do. So clearly would not smash, and I need everyone to know that. And he got clowned on quite a bit because objectively the woman is quite striking, very beautiful. And a lot of people were like, Jordan, I don't know about this one, buddy. Maybe you should just stick to talking about rooms and cleaning them and so on and so forth. So it's been funny to see his arc trying to then, I mean, this is really, there's a lot of different moments in his origin story where you could actually pinpoint where Jordan Peterson really started to Jordan Peterson, right? And obviously, there's a lot in this history of Bill C-16. We could talk about that. We could talk about his addictions, him refusing to want to go to a hospital here to get a treatment. So he sought one elsewhere where they would actually put him under so he didn't have to go through withdrawal symptoms, things like that. He's had a lot of different moments in his life. The transphobia, just nonstop transphobia, just endless transphobia coming out of this man, where at one point or another, you could definitely say this may have been a catalyst that led to where we are now, which is kind of the sad, evil Red Skull Kermit arc, where everyone is kind of like, well, you're ridiculous, and he's getting a lot of pushback and criticism. Like, you're going too weird into this, you know, this whole like, we'll see who cancels who, you know. It's like, it's just funny, you know. Like, if you saw Kermit the Frog and he was literally just like getting really mad and angry about things, you know, like, oh, the woke mob, cancel culture, I'll tell you what truly is. Like, that's just funny. It's hilarious to me. But apparently he explains why he would not smash. We finally get to hear, in his own words, why Jordan Peterson would not smash.
Weeks ago, you tweeted something out that, I'm going to bring it up, that got a crazy amount of attention, which... Did it?
Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, I believe you're referring to.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the Sports Illustrated, I believe.
Sorry.
Oh, it was strange.
Not beautiful. Yeah, people were very...
Saying it was authority, too. Oh, yeah, it was sorry. Not beautiful. Because it wasn't. Okay, am I supposed to say that was beautiful? I don't think so. No, bucko. It wasn't.
Happy with that.
And then everyone got upset.
Yes, they did. And then I left Twitter again, more or less, right after that. And everyone assumed that was why. And it wasn't.
Oh, sorry.
No.
It was, I suppose in some sense it was, because what happened was an indication of the problem with Twitter. But I had been not reading Twitter comments for about 3 weeks, although I had been tweeting through an intermediary, one of my staff members. So I'd email him a tweet, but not reading comments.
Such a boomer thing. Oh, you know, I can't be expected to not resist the things I say, so I'm gonna send you those tweets. Yeah, bucko, you better post them. I email them to you.
Because I found that quite
irksome.
Yeah,
like you're associating with the
devil.
Sure. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it was like sort of like standing in a public park where anybody, no matter who they were, could come up and yell at you to any size audience about anything they wanted, day or night.
That is Twitter.
And
that is Twitter. It's for the sickos. Let's be real, okay? Twitter's for the weirdos, the sickos. That's what it is. If I have an idea or a thought and it's benign, like I've shown this to you live on the streams before, I like pickles. That instantly creates an entire community of people battling out their opinions on my opinion. And then it just flows all the way down. And then people battle within those battles. There's individual battles. It's like, what, do you genuinely think olives are good? And then all of a sudden there's the olive wars. They just on another thread. Like it's not normal. It's very weird. And that's Twitter.
So I've been thinking that through. I'm going to write an article about what's wrong with Twitter and social media in general.
Oh, so that's where we got that giant one with Elliot Page, where he kept misgendering him, but he was like, oh yeah, she, he, she, ze, they, I will not contend, you woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
No, I looked at the sports.
There's definitely, you can tell the difference between this Peterson. This Peterson is a lot more like dry, like the back of the throat, like, oh, yes, well, I wasn't entirely sure what she meant by that, but obviously, her would not smash. I no, would not pass. All the way to when he's mad. Like, Mad Peterson is a whole different, like, ball game. That's where it's like this, you know, and gets all angry and scrunchled.
It's illustrated cover. And they had a rather overweight young woman, quite symmetrical.
Rather overweight young woman, symmetrical, pleasing in certain ways.
So nice facial features and so forth.
Well, I did enjoy the face. That should have put that. Not enough characters to explain the details. It's not simply would not smash, but had to fit it in there.
With a very revealing swimsuit on the cover.
Like, quite revealing, a lot of parts, a lot of body parts there for one to be tantalized by. Certainly some might say it was tantalizing, not me.
And I thought, no. Like, not in a person.
And no, blood did not rush to my penis at that moment. It did not.
Personal way, but it's unbelievably manipulative for about 3 different reasons. The first is it's a very tawdry attempt to capitalize on cheap sales. And I mean cheap in
it was the first time Sports Illustrated has ever shown a woman sexually on the cover. Is this
a specific way? Sports Illustrated hit the gold mine with their swimsuit cover, I suppose 20 years ago, whenever they established that. Because it was obviously it's a sports magazine, so it's about athletics.
That's so fucked up, by the way, because he later on put out another tweet of, like, yes, a conventionally attractive woman who is very scantily clad, and is just like, oh yeah, this one's okay, this one's good, and it's just like, this is so weird, my dude. You're supposed to be one of the right's, like, preeminent intellectuals. That's who you are. That's why this is so embarrassing for you to go down.
It's about athletic people. It's about athletic bodies, and they had a swimsuit issue, and it really was a big hit. And then it became kind of a cultural icon, and it's a very specific kind of cultural icon because it focuses on a very exceptional kind of high-end beauty. And so that beauty would involve symmetry and signals of youth, because that's part of beauty, sexual
Large
beauty.
Women cannot be youthful.
Physical beauty. Waist to hip ratio for women. But with Sports Illustrated, it's also highlighting a kind of athleticism in body type. And that's a very specific form of beauty. You have to be young.
Yes.
You have to be female, generally. You have to be extremely athletic. You have to be shapely in a very particular way. And that would be with a waist to hip ratio of 0.68, because that's what's been established cross.
This is him talking to his daughter, by the way. That's like, this is weird.
Culturally as ideal from the perspective of male sexual interest, let's say, but that's also associated with fertility. Yeah. So it's a marker that has a biological.
Of course. Hey, fellas, my dudes, I don't know about you. When you're picking up that Sports Illustrated, the first thing that pops in your head, she looks fucking fertile, bro. I'm like, damn, she looks fertile. Yeah, I'm buying this one. No, she's fertile as hell. Yeah, no, she could be seeded. That's what I think. Yeah, he looks good and ready to go. Yeah, maybe ovulating. You can't tell. They don't let you know, but they will inside if you buy the magazine. My dudes. Come on, I'm a guy, right? So we're always thinking that. I wonder how fertile she really is. It's part of the appeal. Yeah, I'm sorry, ladies, got to explain guys to you. That's what they think about. One thing only: fertility. They're often wondering if women are ovulating or are fertile at any given time.
Basis. And so even if you're a very beautiful woman,
yes,
you're hard pressed to be beautiful enough to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated for the swimsuit issue. And so it's a pinnacle achievement of sorts. And it's focused on a very idealized and specific form of beauty. And that's obviously exclusionary. It's obviously exclusionary. It excludes everyone. Mm-hmm. Right. And it does that to highlight a kind of ideal, and that's a particular ideal of beauty. And there are some cultural boundaries around that. So you could say, well, it's a westernized form of beauty. It's like, yeah. And you can point to Rubens' paintings of more plump women and say, well, there's an exception. It's like, great. You think you're a genius for finding that exception. Good for you. You know the Rubens painting. Like, more power to you. But that doesn't mean anything at all about the universality of images of beauty. And
it's just so weird to me. I don't know where else on the internet you'll find this, where you have someone who's honestly trying to come at this from an academic perspective on the subjectivity or the objectivity of beauty, how that standard has changed over time, and using it and focusing it all to describe why he would not smash this one Sports Illustrated model to his daughter. It's like, oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, no, you could bring that up. You could have so many examples. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's not the right magnitude. It's the numbers.
So the cover bothered me a lot because it was a cheap manipulation of something that had been working very well for Sports Illustrated. It was also an insistence that all of a sudden this non-athletic body type is as beautiful as...
Okay, we are going to have to do some research on the fly, everybody, just so we understand, and so you get a little lesson in women's bodies as well as athletic bodies. Okay, all the different types of female athletes. We've done this before, but I think it's important because for those who have not seen it, it can be a revelation. Because guess what? What I'm about to show you, every single one of them is a professional athlete in a different sport. Here we go. As you can see, we have rhythmic gymnastics, volleyball, high jump, gymnastics, sports aerobics, heptathlon, long distance running, trampoline, triple jump, gymnastics, weightlifting, basketball, figure skating. What are you noticing by this photo, by the way? Of all these professional athletes, every single one of them is a professional athlete. It would seem their bodies are incredibly varied based on the specifics of the games they are playing. Because they are professional athletes, they have been working on their bodies consistently to be able to achieve the body ideal type to be competitive in that field. Is every single one of them the perfect ratio of curvature between the breast and the buttock, and they must be extended in hourglass in frame, much like, is that what you see before you? No. You're going to see a whole bunch of different kinds. And I think this is so fascinating. The same rules apply to men. The same photo exists for dudes, by the way. But this whole, there's only one kind of body type, and that's got to be, the perfect specimen. It's got to basically look like hentai. That's it. It's got to look like Japanese porn. This is the Sports Illustrated cover, by the way, that he's still going off about, being like, I know, I'm sorry, I'm feeling lips, tell a little bit about maybe the other side of her body, but either way, no, I put my foot down. This was important to me.
The standard swimsuit model for Sports Illustrated. And it's not as athletic, and it's not as healthy, and that's that. And it's also not arbitrary. And so the whole thing is...
But again, the only single type of body type, if you put a twink beside just the Giga Chad of enormous dudes side by side, can it be that both of those individuals are healthy? Can it be that both of those individuals are in optimal shape beside them? Do they look the exact same? No. But is only one of them ever going to be considered attractive? Is only one of them ever going to be considered the ideal body type? It gets really weird. This is the stuff that sculptors used to do in Greece way back in the day, where it'd be like, yes, we must make the perfect form. A man who has a certain body type and a very small penis. The penis has to be incredibly small because, after all, smaller penises are, I guess, more dainty and in our own way intrinsically beautiful. So this is the ideal man, and that changes over time. It was certainly different during the Renaissance. It was certainly different during a ton of other periods. These things evolve and or morph over time. This is you and your personal preference. You are saying a statement. You can't say this is a broad generality. This is not a cause. This is not a crusade to be like, it's not healthy. at the end of the day, are we supposed to believe this? It's not healthy. Like, no, it's just you again being a weirdo. If this is not a woman you're attracted to, fair dues. That's should be the start and the end of it. It doesn't need to become this whole thing. It doesn't need to be something you broadcast on the internet to all your fans and then have to justify it on your daughter's podcast.
It's a lie. And then it's a lie that's a manipulation of that young woman. Now, she partakes in that because she participates in it. But it's still, they're not on her side. They're exploiting her, as far as I'm concerned. And she may be participating in that exploitation, but they're still exploiting her. So don't pull any moral stunts on me because you're irritated about my opinion.
All right, now we got the Red School, the Kermit Peterson back now. Don't you dare pull your stunts on me, woke moralists.
About the Sports Illustrated cover when it's bloody clear to anybody with eyes that was manipulative in 20 different ways.
How could you?
And I'm also not willing to sacrifice these ideals for inclusiveness. It's like, no.
Do you buy the magazine? Did you buy the magazine? Would you ever buy the magazine? Is this one of the things you spend money on? Are you even the demographic or the market for this? Is this something you have a vested interest? Because otherwise, you could just buy another magazine. Guess what? There's hundreds of them. And a lot of them have ladies that look the way you want. You can cater it to your own taste, Jordan. You can get another magazine that has whatever ideal body type. I don't know, maybe something like Michaela Peterson. Whatever your thing is, you can go find it. You can get out there and you can buy that.
Not everyone's a genius. No, not everyone's Picasso. No, not everyone's young and healthy. And no, not everyone is a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model, period. And fuck you if you don't like it.
He's so angry about this. And fuck you if you don't like it. I will not submit. Not today. No.
So that's basically what I thought about that. I certainly didn't think it would cause as much trouble as it did. You know, when people were on my case for being mean, it's like, yeah, I know, I'm always mean because...
No, people were on your case for being silly. Why is this worth your time? Why do you care, old man? What is going on here? I don't understand. If you didn't like it, don't buy it. Go buy the one you want or don't. It doesn't matter. Like, for you to be like, just as a cause, I'm being forced to be titillated. I will not be titillated. Fuck you. You will not titillate me.
You know, that's...
Well, also, like, life is hard and, like, life is mean, right? And it's hard for people. First of all, I have great sympathy for anybody overweight because of the health struggles I went through. And you lost a whole bunch of weight. It's not like being overweight's fun. Right?
I mean, all I had to do, Dad, was make you eat one thing and one thing alone and then have a whole bunch of salt with that raw meat and then get that in your gullet. And it may have changed your bowel movements slightly. You might have a little, but I mean, look at you. You're so skinny, Dad. I got you to do that. For my weird experiments.
That's a whole other problem to get into with
the Princess of Scurvy.
I think people have such an issue losing weight.
Yeah,
that society has said, you know what, it's fine because you've had so much trouble that it's probably your genetics. Yeah. So
you might. There's truth in that. Like when I look at someone.
First off, there's a myriad of factors as to why someone could be overweight, and a lot of different things play into it. Sometimes poverty can play a role into it. There's a lot of different things. And yes, genetics, there are people who are going to be predisposed to be easier and more available at losing weight than others. Like, for example, I have a lot harder time than my dad, who can just eat endless amounts of food and has been skinny his whole life. I don't understand it. He can eat literally like a giant bowl of garbanzos every single dinner and a giant bowl of rice, and it does nothing to him. No effect. Whereas if I did that, I would be like morbidly obese very rapidly. But that is a factor too. The thing is, what do you gain personally, Jordan, from ripping into this woman and trying to say that it's authoritarian if other people find her attractive? There are so many different body types in the world. There are body types, and again, people can be in shape and they may not look like an hourglass to you. They may like... That ideal, by the way, is not natural. Like giant hentai booba, I'm sorry to tell you, is just not the average woman. They don't all look like that. They don't all have waists that are, you know, smaller than their arms, and then all of a sudden they have just the most monstrous of tits and the most monstrous of asses. That's just like not the average body type. So there's going to be a variety of different body types in the world. I just don't get what you like gain by being like, that's the one I like. That one over there is not really attractive to me. That one's terrible. Fuck you if you tell me I'm supposed to love this. Like, what do you get?
Who's obese on the street, I think, oh, that's too bad. Like, that's too bad. I don't think, obese pig eats too much, has no self-control. I don't think that. I think bad mismatch between genetic proclivity and appalling diet. And the appalling diet is basically, we're not going to get into this, but basically carbohydrate heavy and sugar low.
Do you think there's anything that plays into your quote appalling diet? Is there reasons why? Have you looked into this? Have you looked into why people who are in lower income areas and families suffer a lot more with that? Because again, highly processed manufactured foods are much cheaper. That's the way our industry under capitalism develops them. So they are usually going to eat them. They're also highly addictive for people who may have also depression and try to solve depression through eating and things like that. There are food deserts that also plays a giant role. And yes, genetics at the end, but the appalling diet is the only thing. It's like, well, I mean, it's her fault at the end of the day. She didn't have to eat that way. She has an appalling diet. Like, that's wild.
And fair enough, we try to hard, the whole world, to make calories cheap.
Yeah, I know. They have no moral authority to fucking talk about appalling diets. These two people eat raw meat and salt. That's their diet. That's disgusting. That's absolutely revolting. Like the fucking sailor's diet. Are you kidding me? And like the audacity to talk about other people's appalling diets. I would rather eat junk food than what the two of you eat. Like, I'm sorry that not only does it sound like it is going to cause huge, disturbing gastrointestinal problems. Turn to Joe Rogan's Instagram if you want to be disgusted by that. And when he's tried switching to only meat, but also it's just so horrifyingly boring. Like every day, and I don't mind a good steak. I'm not saying that, but I am saying if I had to eat that and only that as the one thing for the rest of my life, that would be fucking grim. That would be so depressing.
Mm-hmm. And we did that. So no one's starving, and great. But now we have an obesity problem, and it's a major problem. And I'm not going to pretend that it's okay. It's not okay. That doesn't mean I don't have sympathy for it. And I'm not willing to sacrifice any ideals for this.
What do you think is contributing to America's obesity crisis more? Do you think it is a Sports Illustrated model, or do you think it is a system that has highly processed corn syrup in the vast majority of processed food that is produced by a very small amount of companies that is widely distributed at way cheaper prices to all Americans? All Americans can buy very cheap processed food that are incredibly high in calories and are very addictive, and those are way cheaper than alternatives, and also the time it takes to be able to prepare healthy, fresh meals, vegetarian meals, vegan meals, all that. Which one of those two things do you think is playing a bigger role? Is, again, Sports Illustrated model or everything else? Because I'm pretty sure people aren't walking by the stands and seeing a Sports Illustrated model, maybe feeling representation for the first time and being like, oh shit, I gotta gain some weight. I look pretty similar to this person, but that person is a little larger than me. I better gain weight. And by the opposite factor, should you show people who are so skinny that they look almost malnourished in magazines because that'll bring all the weight down? Do you think when people walk by and see that, they'll be like, oh, that's the ideal body type, you say? Well, then all of us are going to stop eating and we're going to eat better and exercise because we've seen this one. It's time to change everything. And like, it's utterly ridiculous.
Idiot inclusiveness. I'm done with that. And so should everyone else be. And I think most people are. And they look at that cover and they know it's manipulative and a lie in a deep sense.
Boy, fun stuff. Fun stuff. Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Juste, we shall spend many a generations building mighty cathedrals in your honor. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your oafish jesters, here to offer you a laugh at any opportunity. To our brave knights of the Round Table, Rachel K., Izzy Solidarity, Victoria Bell, Sebastian Demmel, Mark Harmon, Benji Arney, Scary Earthhuman, Tony, DM Rivera, Resident Scarecrow, Sir Nickus, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Brandon, Words Greenwood, Everything Important, Hegbert Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Doug Cady, Daniel Sutton, Jenna Tao, Dark Puppy, Quiet One 85, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, Multimondi, Trevbot EXE, Brian Ephraim, Anthropophojack, Catherine, Ramon Acosta, Nkosin, Ralph Parler, Violent Orchard, Political Puppy, La Media Panza, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We salute our valiant heroes off to fight injustice everywhere.